Welcome to History 111, Lecture 25, Immigration. So first let's start by looking at these two graphs. The top graph shows us from 1620 to 1860 what's happening with the American population. As we can see, it's very rapidly growing, and really in particular, from 1800 to 1860, it is growing extremely rapidly. Now the bottom graph is showing us one of the main factors between 1821 and 1840. That's immigration. As we can see, the number of people immigrating is doubling almost every 5 years during this time period. Now, the population increase in the United States is a combination of various things. Part of it is due to better public health. There's also a high birth rate. It's lower than it had been in previous decades, but it's still booming. There's also a lower infant and childhood mortality. More people are living to adulthood. There's also immigration from Europe. The increase in population and the industrialization country is also going to feed rapid urbanization. Now, 3% of Americans lived in cities in the 1790s. By 1840, it's tripled to 9%. So let's start by looking at these two maps here. Now, the two maps represent what's happening during the first half of the 19th century with regards to population density. And what we can see is the green is very low population density, about 2 people per square mile. So you're talking about very rural urban areas with dispersed farms. Whereas the red is high population density, more than 90 people per square mile. So you're talking about an urban environment. So we can see during the first half of the 19th century is the population is expanding and populations are living closer and closer together, and thus fueling urbanization, because there's a constant flow during this time of people into the cities from farms in New England, as well as people moving from Europe. One of the two main immigrant groups at this time were the Irish, and about half of immigrants at this point were coming from Ireland due to the potato famine of the 1840s. Now, they faced strong discrimination because they were Roman Catholic, and they tended to congregate in northern cities like Boston, Philadelphia, and New York. Now, in doing so, they're going to compete primarily with African Americans for unskilled labor jobs in the north, although a large number enter local politics and in particular join the Democratic Party. The other major immigrant group to enter the country this time are Germans. The failures of the Revolution of 1848 and various economic hardships brought over 1 million Germans to the United States at this point. Now, they settle in large numbers in the old Northwest around the Great Lakes in search of cheap, fertile farmland. Now, they are also strong supporters of public education and staunch opponents of slavery. One of the things that happens as a result of immigration is a rise of nativism, and nativism is a hostility towards foreign-born people combined with a desire to slow or stop immigration. Now, this also has a strongly racist dimension in that the immigrants are believed by these nativists to be inferior to them. And the nativists are claiming that foreigners are willing to work for low wages and are thus stealing jobs from the native workforce. And it's important to realize that when people are talking about the native workforce back then, they mean people of European descent born in the United States and not Native Americans. In other words, these people are regarding themselves as the real Americans and dislike all these other groups, and in particular, immigrants. The Native American Party, or the Know-Nothings, forms in 1845, and remember that these are nativists and not Native Americans like we use the term today. Now, the Nativist Party is going to endorse a list of demands including banning Catholics or foreign-born people from holding public office. They want more restrictive naturalization laws and literacy tests for voting, and they also have secret passport for entering their society, which is I Know Nothing, and the Native Party, as a result, becomes known as the Know Nothings. And they help collapse the existing party system, which is organized around the Whigs and Democrats, and we'll talk about that political realignment that happens a little bit later. So what's the big idea? Well, first and foremost, immigration helps fuel the growth of cities and westward expansion. But let's not forget, there's a nativist backlash, and a lot of people believe that all of this immigration is somehow harmful to the United States. See you in the next lecture.